Hey everyone, we had an amazing opportunity to be part of SnakeDiscovery's annual Enclosure Buildoff. We've been a sponsor the past 3 years, and this year we were lucky enough to be invited out to participate in this year's competition. In this video, we're going to talk about our experience from our first time visiting the zoo all the way to building our enclosure.
For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Buildoff, SnakeDiscovery hosts 10 different reptile-focused content creators for a head-to-head build-off to see who can make the coolest enclosure. Sponsors like Pangea donate products to use for the enclosure, and each content creator chooses from the same set of products.
The enclosures are voted on by SnakeDiscovery's YouTube audience to determine what is their favorite enclosure. Then the enclosures are auctioned off and the proceeds are donated to a reptile-related nonprofit charity.
So Kevin, can you tell the audience what is SnakeDiscovery?
So to me, SnakeDiscovery has been this educational outreach brand that's been around for quite a while with a really impressive YouTube channel. But they've really grown to a lot more, especially now that they have their retail store and their amazing zoo. Between all of the Universal Rock backgrounds hiding all of the seams, I thought it was really cool looking, and I really enjoyed seeing a lot of the animals and the really large enclosures that they had. In particular, I was fascinated by the blue trees. I was just staring at them anytime we had a break, and I was also impressed by their enormous snakes.
Yeah, they were quite impressive.
Yeah. So at the competition, there was a couple team challenges and you got to participate in them. Tell me about the first challenge. What was it like? Who was on the team and how did we do?
Yeah, well, the challenges were super fun and exciting and filled with a little chaos. We had an awesome team of 5, and there was 2 teams of 5, and we had Hunter Hauk, we had Bob from Green Room Pythons, we also had Luke from Luke's Bug Adventures, that was super fun, and Dan the Turtle Man.
So what was the actual challenge?
So the challenge was we take the team and we had to get boxes, but the challenge was that they were blindfolded. And so I had to direct our team members to get the boxes just by shouting at them to get the boxes and bring them back to a designated spot. In the spot, you were allowed to open the boxes, and it contained some keys, which unlocked a box where we could get a sword to chop. Of course we need the sword, right?
Yeah.
So we chopped the rope to make the flag raise, and then that provided a puzzle where we did a word unscramble.
Yeah, Bob had a very impressive chop, and then the word scramble you guys were so close on.
So close, so close.
So who wins?
I think the black team
Yes,
Unfortunately, it was close.
So how did we do?
So we took second place, which you can only get first or last, but so we took second place, and a little disappointed because we were seconds away from finishing.
And what was the reward for winning the competition?
Oh, so the reward for winning this competition was to get first pick of any item on the spread. So we were really hoping to win. There were a lot of hot items, but we took second place, so we got second choice.
It all worked out.
Yeah, it was pretty good. What went into planning our enclosure build?
So during the time in between getting invited and going to the build, we were both very busy, a lot of traveling going on, so a lot of the discussion over what the plan was us just bouncing ideas back and forth via text. And one of the things that we landed on was doing an arid environment for terrestrial geckos.
Yeah.
So for the competition, everybody gets to bring one special item from home, and we brought our item. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so our item is something we actually created, right? It was a fireplace, and we kind of had this idea to have a little campfire in our enclosure. Not a real campfire, but one that glowed like a campfire. So we used EL wire, and then we had to find charcoal, and we made our own campfire out of the EL wire and the charcoal.
Yeah, And then we got really lucky to also have that universal rocks.
Oh yeah, that
logs.
was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that our fire pit turned out really good, but a lot of people had some really good items too. What were some of the items that stood out to you?
Yeah, I can really remember vividly amazing backgrounds. A couple people brought outstanding backgrounds.
Like full backgrounds.
Full backgrounds, yeah. There were some really cool 3D printed objects, which really turned out nice in the enclosures. And people brought stuff from their backyards that brought a sense of home into their enclosure, and it looked really nice.
Yeah, definitely giving that naturalistic vibe.
When you got to see the table of supplies, what did you go for first?
Well, there's a lot of amazing stuff out there, but seeing those universal rocks backgrounds, we knew that we wanted to grab those. So you snagged that one right away, and I went to go grab all that Manzanita, and then one other piece. It was a big rock from Universal Rocks backgrounds.
Yeah, that was an impressive piece. Well, for me, I noticed there was a lack of sand, which we need for our desert enclosure. I ended up getting Reptisand and Excavator, but also Terra Sahara, which were all great arid substrates.
So there was a ton of great items that we were able to get, but were there any items that we were hopeful for that you wish we would have been able to get?
Oh yeah, for sure. So there was the foggers. There was only 2 of them.
Yeah.
And we wanted one to make a smoke effect for our fire log. That would have been sweet. That one comes to mind in particular. But some other items were some variable sticks that looked super cool, but we just didn't manage to snag those ones in the time.
Yeah, there was one branch that I wish we would have held on to a little tighter. It ended up getting snagged by someone else, and I was very hopeful to have that smoke effect based on our plan for the fogger, but it was too bad there wasn't enough.
Yeah, were there other items that you can think of?
I wish that there would have been some other sand choices, particularly like some redder sand, but in general, I was really happy with like all of the supplies that were there from all the sponsors.
Yeah, they were pretty impressive amount of donations.
Yeah. So, John, there was an impromptu second challenge, and there was an item up for grabs that we could have got. Tell me, what was the item?
Oh man, so the item was the limited edition fogger.
Yeah, and then that was something we really wanted, for sure, but what was the challenge that we had to get that?
Yeah, so we had to race bearded dragons. It sounds simple, but it was not simple.
No, it wasn't very simple. So what was the name of your dragon?
Yeah, so my bearded dragon was Nacho, a very gorgeous orange bearded dragon, male, great size. So I picked Nacho because he was a large animal. The way that we could win the race is to entice Nacho with a little food item, so I used hornworms, to get him across the finish line.
So how did Nacho do compared to the rest of the dragons?
I feel like Nacho did pretty well. Overall, they didn't move at all. Luke's dragon moved very well for him, a little jealous of that, but
he had a little guy.
He had a little guy, so he's hungry. Nacho I picked because he was the largest one, so I figured, oh, he would like food. But he was more into checking out the other bearded dragons and showing them who's boss.
Yeah, he was hanging back for sure, but there was kind of a photo finish. So like, how did it go at the very end?
Yeah, so eventually he noticed the prey items in front of the other bearded dragons, and so I grabbed those prey items and kind of lured him to the race finish line, and he almost won.
Yeah, he took off. It was so close.
So close.
Yeah.
She was already over. She was already over the ledge.
When the Buildoff started, what were some of the challenges that you faced?
So even though we brought a bunch of tools, it was difficult to secure foam and silicone because those were such hot commodities for all the other builders that getting those when we needed it was probably the most challenging part that I think I faced. What about you?
For me, I really thought the process of glue drying or silicone drying was very challenging for me because I spent a lot of time letting things set and making sure it was perfect before moving on from anything else.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to the bonfire.
Exactly.
Yeah. So even though there were some challenges, what are some of the parts of the build that actually worked out better than you thought?
Oh man, so our fireplace was our main highlight, right? And then we got the Reptile Systems gold infrared units, and those emit a nice red glow, as well as providing heat, which makes sense over the fire, but it made a nice red glow, giving it an awesome effect. How about you? What went well for you?
There was a few things that went really well. I was really surprised at how well the excavator clay worked out. That was the first time I had used it, so those caves looked really good. I also thought that that middle universal rocks piece separated out the two parts of the enclosure, really making that fireplace look nice and rich.
In the end, how did you feel about our final project?
So I was really happy with it. I thought that the total scape looked really nice. I really liked the way that the Manzanita branches on the right created depth going back to the caves, and I thought that the bonfire also looked really good.
Yeah.
What about you?
I really liked how the background turned out. It was contoured very nicely, and then that, like you said earlier, the big universal rock piece in the center just really made it look like two different scenarios, and it played out really well.
So besides our enclosure, which one of the other contestants' enclosures really stood out to you? What was your favorite?
I think it has to be Luke's from Luke's Bug Adventures. It was incredible. The size of his miniature that he made was impressive and incredibly detailed.
Yeah, I think that anybody who's a fan of Lord of the Rings or just a nerd in general is really going to enjoy his enclosure. It was very impressive. It was my favorite too.
Yeah. We'd like to give a special thanks to Ed and Emily for hosting us and for inviting us to the Buildoff.
And we want to really thank all the sponsors. It was very generous for them to donate all those products for this awesome event. Especially want to thank Custom Reptile Habitats, Universal Rocks, Reptile Systems, the Bio Dude, and Zoo Med for all those great products that went into building our enclosure.
We'd also like to thank the participants for coming and having an amazing time at SnakeDiscovery, doing the Buildoff, and also meeting new people, chatting with old acquaintances, and making some new memories.
And thank you for watching this video. And if you liked our enclosure, go vote for it. Also, give us a like on this video and subscribe to our channel. And in the comments, let us know what you liked about our build, as well as what kind of builds you'd like to see from us in the future.